everything right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Naima and welcome back to my channel, or two if you're new. And today's video we are doing something really exciting. It is the end of year book survey, and I've never done this before on my channel. This is my second year I've been on booktube for a little more than a year now, probably a lot more than a year, but who's counting? And I've never done this before, so I decided that it would be really fun to do it this year for my channel and then continue to do it throughout the year so I can see the progression of my reading and what I was reading before. And you know, this survey is basically comprised of 24 questions, and it's just, we're gonna have a little recap of my reading. I really want to know your answers for these questions as well, so feel free to answer them in the comments so I can look through them and get some recs and know what you loved reading this year. And also today is I forgot the number of days, but if you missed my last few videos, I'm filming a video every day up until Christmas with my friend Em from 𝓬𝓤𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬 having so much fun doing it. Let me know if you guys have been liking these videos, and without further ado, let's just get right into today's video. So the first question is, how many books did I read this year? So I ended up reading, well, obviously the year is we're still in 2021, but so far I've read 145 books. I'm expecting to end around like 150 to 160 books just because I have so much free time right now and I'm reading. And I'm actually really surprised because last year I read 137 books and somehow I surpassed that this year, especially like last year we were in the midst of quarantine and somehow I read more out at school and out doing normal life things. So that's really shocking to me. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed that I ended up reading more because my goal actually for the beginning of this year was to read less than what I read in 2020 just because, I don't know, I wanted to have a thriving social life. I wanted to get out of quarantine. I wanted to like not live through my books, you know? But somehow I ended up reading more, which is fine because I did end up having like a thriving social life and I did end up going out more and having a life. So I am very happy that I was able to do both while reading more. So yeah, I read 145 books thus far, but I'm expecting to read somewhere around like 150 to 160. We do have like, I don't even know how long do we have left, like a week. I'll probably end up reading 5 more books honestly, so it'll most likely be 150. The next question is most read genre, and my most read genre is obviously romance. This channel is dedicated to romance books and other books that I'm reading like sporadically. So romance is my #1 genre that I read this year, and then #2 is literary fiction, and then I think I read like maybe 1 or 2 fantasy books, and then it just gets lower and lower and lower. Like I didn't read any sci-fi. I think I read 1 nonfiction. Yeah, I mostly read romance and I'm not sorry about it. I had so much fun reading all the romances this year. The next question is longest book and shortest book. So my longest book was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas, and this book is 757 pages. And I'm actually surprised. I thought I would have read something longer than this, but I wasn't reading much fantasy, and romance tends to stay around like the 300 to 500 page range. So that's actually not that surprising, I guess. But I read A Court of Silver Flames, and this is my biggest book this year, and I love it so freaking much. It is everything to me. I loved this didn't feel like 757 pages. It felt so short to me just because I was flying through it and living life and just loving it. So yeah, this was my longest book that I read. And then the shortest book that I read was actually pretty funny. So I wanted to read a manga because Heather from Here Booktube, Tamika from Library of Tomes, and then Izzy from Happy for Now, they were all really into like their manga phases, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to like, what is this manga about? So I read this really random Living with the Sadistic Beast. This is 43 pages, and it was quite simply the worst time ever. Like I don't even think I read the book right, and it was just a lot of essay content in this manga, and I wasn't really knowing what I was getting into. I don't even know if I read this book correctly. I was very confused on how to read it. I need to watch like a guide to manga. But yeah, this one's funny because I ended up literally like, what is this life when I was reading it? 43 pages. The next question is favorite book published in 2021, and I have a lot. It is so hard to narrow these down, so I kind of have 4 books for this question. So for favorite book published in 2021, A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson was probably like one of my favorite books of 2021. I don't even think you can see how many annotations are in here. Like, it is insane. I loved this book. It was so amazing, and I cannot believe this was published in 2021, just because I feel like it's been around for a long time, but this is like a Dracula's Brides retelling, and it was super dreamy and lyrical and magical, and just her writing. I loved this book, and there's just such pretty lines in here, like so beautiful. So I really love this book, and it was published in 2021. Another one is Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. This book actually got me out of a really big reading slump that I was in 2021, so for that I'm grateful, and I just love stalker romances, so this really fed me well. I loved this book, and it was just stunning. And then another one is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I feel like I've talked about this book so many times on my channel, which is really indicative of how much I love this book. And this, of course, was published in 2021. It was so funny and so good and so steamy. I love this one. And this one is a opposites attract romance between a fisherman from a small town named Brendan and then an influencer from LA named Piper. The next question that we have is favorite debut of 2021. So this is like author's first time publishing a book, and it was in 2021, and that is The Love Hypothesis, Ali Hazelwood. I love this book. I read this in the fall this year, and it was just such a good time. I was like at school reading this book, and it just brought me all of like the fall cozy school academic vibes, and it was amazing. This was such a cute romance. This is fake dating. Wow, just looking at this cover, I want to reread it. Like, I love this book so much, and I was really surprised to see that this was Ali Hazelwood's her first book ever published, so I'm so excited to keep up with all the other books that she's going to be releasing. I know she has a lot coming out in 2022, so pre-orders on all of them. The next question that we have is favorite book not published in 2021. This one was really hard too, but when I think about like my favorite books so far this year, I have a few answers for this question. Number 1, Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I loved this book, and I found out that it was actually published in 2016, which I had no idea. I thought it was much newer, but I guess not. And this book was so beautiful. It is an shifter romance, and it has a huge age gap, and it is stunning. The writing in there was so funny and just so beautiful. Like, I can never get over this book, and it's actually a travesty that I've never read the other books in the series, and I really want to. So yeah, I love this book so much, and it was not published in 2021. I also have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by @𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬 became one of my favorite books ever. This is such a stunning book. It is about this girl in the year 2000, and she's like in her early 20s, and she doesn't know what she's doing with her life, and she's incredibly depressed, and she just takes like sleeping medication to knock herself out. And when she wakes up, she goes and chugs a bunch of coffee to like counteract the sleeping medicine. And then it's just a really hard, depressing, really negative book, but I loved it so much. I related to the main character's mental health issues, and I just thought it was really stunning and such a good book. And now 𝓬𝓦𝕤𝓚𝓬𝓲𝓪 has become one of my favorite authors. So yeah, this one is really amazing. And then the last one I'm going to say for this question is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This one was published in 2019, and it is a stunning book. I consider this to be more literary fiction than a romance, but I think it was stunning. It follows Marianne and Connell, and this is very much right person, wrong time. It is just stunning. Like, I love this book. It is everything to me, and I bawled my eyes out while reading this. The next question that I have is a book that lived up to the hype, and for this I have two answers. Number one, Daisy Jones and the Six. This book has so much hype surrounding it, and so I read this book in the very beginning of 2021, I think in January, and I listened to it on audio and like completely zoned out. It was everything to me. Like, I literally felt like I was just watching a movie in my mind while reading this book. I stayed up all night just listening to it, not even conscious, and it was amazing. Like, I love this book so much, and the hype is so well deserved because this book is everything to me. Oh, I love it. And then another one I have is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste G. I didn't really think that this book had that much hype surrounding it. Obviously, I know it has like a TV show and everything, but when I was checking my Goodreads like statistics for 2021, this was the book this book had like 1 million, 1 billion, a huge number of people who've shelved this book. So it did have some hype surrounding it, and I really loved this book. I used to think it was a thriller, but it's really more of like literary fiction. I love books set in like nice small suburban towns, and this took place in the 90s, and it just was like such a nostalgic feeling for me. Like this felt so nostalgic to me for some reason. I don't know, but I really loved this book. The next question is a book that did not live up to the hype, and for this I have two. So the first one is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, and this is one that I was just completely confused by. I read this for like my 24-hour reading blog video, and this is one that I just was like, am I not smart enough to get this? Like I was so confused while reading this book, and so that's why I'm sure it's like probably a really good book if I was smart enough to get it, but I just couldn't really understand it, and I was very confused. But I know this one is a, like, I don't even know how to explain it. I think it's like a girl's experience like domestic abuse in a sapphic relationship, I guess. I have no idea. I was so confused. I literally zoned out while reading that. And then another one is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This one had so much hype, especially on TikTok, and I just didn't love it. I didn't like the fact that it started off super cutesy and fun, and then randomly it got dark, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like you can't just like switch it up. I mean, it worked out for her because this book has so much hype. Sadly, it didn't live up to the hype for me. Like good for you if you loved it, but I didn't get it. The next question is a book that felt like an accomplishment to read, and for this I'm just gonna have to say A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. Obviously this one is 757 pages, but for me it didn't feel like an accomplishment while reading it, just because again I was just so into it. I was so sucked in, but by the end I was like, whoa, like I really just read this massive book. Like that means something to me. Like I clearly love Sarah J Maas's writing and her characters, so this was like an accomplishment to me just because of the mere fact that it's this big, you know. The next question that we have is a favorite character, and I have so many favorite characters of this year. Eve from Eve Brown. This was one of my I read this like in March, and I loved Eve's personality. I think she was such a fun character to read about. I loved her energy, and I loved how she was just living her life. So much fun to read about. Aurora from All Roads Lead Here. I just read this book. I just love this book so freaking much, and Aurora was also another character that was really fun to read about. I loved being in her mind. I thought she was just the coolest girl, but also while with struggling with things and just being super like authentic and like honest. I don't know how Mariana Zapata does it, but like her female characters are always like just stunning. Like Aurora was so much fun to read about. I loved her. And another one I would say would have to be Mr. Rhodes from All Roads Lead Here. I think he was I just love his whole grumpy demeanor. His grumpiness just like warmed me. Like I was like, stop being grumpy. I know you were in love with her, just like come out with it already. And I really liked reading about him also. I also loved Mara from There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. Mara just gives such Pisces energy, and I'm a Pisces moon and a Pisces rising, so I don't know, like I was just like, oh my gosh, this girl is such a Pisces. She's super artistic and she doesn't give a fuck. Like she's just doing what she needs to do to get by. Like I love characters like that also, but who are also love what they do and love their hobbies. I just thought this was such a fun read, especially with characters like this. And I love Tamara. Like she just gave such pure energy, such Pisces energy. I love it. And lastly, I'm gonna say Connor from Kiss the Sky. I've loved Connor since the very first Addicted book, which is Addicted to You, but this was the first time we ever read about Connor and his own, you know, Connor and his own novel from his own perspective, and I just love him. I love him so much. I love that he'll do anything for the people that he loves. I love that he is just so freaking funny and so like he knows that he's the shit and he acts like it, but also just is so caring, like so caring, and I love him. And he doesn't think that like he's a caring person. He thinks that he has no feelings and emotions and he can't love. I'm just like, no, yes you can. I just love him, and he shows it through his actions, not through his words, and he's amazing. Like I love him. Question is least favorite character from this year, and I'd have to say, I don't know, this one was a little bit hard, but when I was looking at the books I read, definitely Gabriel from Gabriel's Inferno. I found him to be so annoying to read about. Like there's a difference between like Connor pretentiousness and then Gabriel pretentiousness. Gabriel's pretentiousness was so annoying and Connor's pretentiousness was endearing. Like I hated Gabriel. Like I don't know, he was just ugh, like I got the worst vibes from him. I can't even explain it. If you read it, you probably know what I'm talking about. And then another one was Quentin from King of Corium. If you watched my last wrap-up video, you would know that I detested this book. I DNF'd it at like 50%, and it was just such a poor, the writing was horrible, the characters were incredibly flat, number 2, and Quentin, the hero, was disgusting. Like I could not stand him. Every time he got on the page I was like, ugh, like please stop. And finally he did something that I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm out. I don't want to spoil it for you, but he just is horrible, like alpha dominant energy, which I usually love if it's written in a way that's like true, but like this guy, he didn't know what he was doing, and the authors, no offense, they didn't know what they were doing either, you know. The next question is most shocking book moment, and I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'm just gonna say the books, and then hopefully if you read it, you know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't read it, this will be your push to read it. So definitely Scenes and There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is by far one of the darkest books that I've read, and it was just, there's certain scenes in here that I was like, no way, what is this, and why am I okay with it, and am I kind of okay with it, am I not okay with it? There's just so many shocking moments in here, and I was like, this is disgusting, but like in the best way, you know. So definitely scenes in here, no spoilers, but definitely check up on the trigger warnings. And then another one is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This one definitely just had scenes that I was like, ew, you know, like that's really shocking. I can't believe this person just did that. And it was really graphic, but if you like thriller and you like kind of like mystery, I think you would really enjoy this book. So this one had a lot of good shocking moments. The next question is favorite OTP couple, and this one's incredibly hard because every book that I've read throughout the year that was a romance book that I loved, obviously that couple is like my OTP. I wouldn't have given like a book a high rating if I hated the couple together, you know. So I just tried to like draw from my favorites, I guess. And the first one that I have is Connell and Marianne from Normal People by Sally Rooney. This one again is not a romance book. I just love Connell and Marianne together, but also I hate them also, but they make me love them, and this just gives toxic, nobody has to know energy from like high school. I don't know, they're an OTP just because it was always right person wrong time for them, and it just broke me, and I wanted them to be together so badly, and I don't know, like this is definitely like an OTP couple, but also it's kind of like, do they need to be together? Like I don't know. So this one is definitely one that's up there. And then another one is Joe and Ox from Wolfsong. This one is It's Always Been You trope, and it is stunning and it is everything to me. I love this book so freaking much, and it has a huge age gap, but it is people who've grown up together and loved each other, and their families are super close, and they live across the street from each other, and it is just so stunning. The small little jealousy moments, the small little like I love you, I'm here for you, I care for you moments, it is just stunning. Lastly, let me just say Christian and Gianna from The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Laurie. This is a couple that I just love incredibly. This is like an obsessive hero who's like obsessed with the heroine, who's in love with her, and it's like unrequited love situation, and it is stunning. Like I love these characters and their romance together. Like I loved how caring Christian was. I loved how he just wanted to keep her safe, and he was super possessive and jealous and obsessive, everything. The next question is most well-written book of the year. So of course, number 1, A Dowry of Blood by S.C. Gibson, and I wish you guys could see like how much I've tabbed. Like I've tabbed, this is my most tabbed book, and it just has some stunning quotes in here and lines. Okay, let's read one for example. My favorite thing is even loneliness, hollow and cold, becomes so familiar, it starts to feel like a friend. This one is so stunning. So yeah, that one is one of my favorite quotes. Even loneliness, hollow and cold, becomes so familiar, it starts to feel like a friend. And this one hit me. I was like, oh, I really love the dedication also to those who escaped a love like death, and to those still caught in its grasp, you are the heroes of this story. Stunning, like so stunning. There's so many good lines in here. Daisy Jones is another one that I just feel like was written so well. This was a very different read than what I was used to. It was written in interview style, and I thought that was fun. The next one is the books I've pushed the most for people to read, and definitely just like Sophie Lark. Like Sophie Lark in general, I feel like I have been pushing everyone on every platform to read my new favorite author, and her books are stunning, and she's a stunning human being, and she's so kind and generous, and her books are really indicative of that, and they're just so good. I love it, and I feel like I've pushed that on my viewers and my friends the most. Okay, so the next question is favorite book cover of 2022, and this one is one that I know is a very unpopular opinion, but I just love the Court of Silver Flames cover. Like, I don't know, it's definitely better than the older ones. Like, I don't know why people are still stuck on that, but like those, I showed it to my friend, like the old ACOTAR covers, and she was like, those look like books that you get from the book fair in like elementary school. And I was like, you're not wrong. And I don't know, these just have such a mature like cover. I think they're really pretty. I don't know. Also, I'm a new ACOTAR stan. I started reading them in 2020, so maybe I don't have a say, but I think this cover is really stunning, and I don't know why people hate on it so much. Another one is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. It has like this beautiful clock and these red lipstick prints. And then Haunting Adeline has a really stunning cover as well. It's this, and I like it way more than the old cover before she redid them. And then the next question I have is favorite book to movie adaptation. I don't even think I've seen any, so I'm just gonna not answer that. I also have books that made you cry the most. Definitely Wolfsong, Normal People, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Wolfsong made me cry out of happiness, out of sadness, tears of laughter. Like, it was just such a stunning book. And then all the other ones, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was incredibly sad. Normal People was really sad. A Court of Wings and Ruin was tears of like excitement and happiness, but also like I'm dying tears, like why is this happening to me tears, you know? Next question is a favorite author that I discovered in 2021, and obviously that is Sophie Lark. Like, she is my new favorite author. I've loved every book that she's ever written, and she's just such an amazing person, as I stated before. This question is guilty pleasure I read this year, and none. Like, I don't know, I don't really have guilty pleasures when I read. I read what I want to read, and I would read it out in public, so none. The next question that we have is a book that made me laugh the most, and definitely like the Addicted series as a whole made me cackle and die and laugh. Just, there's certain characters, honestly all of them are just like hilarious, like comedics, but Rose and Connor are definitely so funny. Reich is hilarious. Lo is, I just die of laughter every time he opens his mouth. They're just all super funny together. I love their friend group, and if I could like sell my soul to be a part of their friend group and live inside these novels, I totally would. Another book that made me laugh the most is definitely Wolfsong. I've mentioned it a lot throughout this video, but that book was really funny too. Please read Wolfsong if you haven't already. I'm tired. Like, I love this book. Next question is fave book that I reread this year, and that is definitely Vicious by L.J. Shen. I reread this book with my friend Caroline, and it was a super fun time. She had never read Vicious before, and I wanted to reread it with her, so we reread it together, and it was great. I love Vicious so much. The next question is best nonfiction I read in 2021, and I think this is quite possibly the only nonfiction that I read, but Becoming by Michelle Obama. I read this in the beginning of the year, and it was such a stunning book. Our former First Lady, and I loved it so much. I learned so much about her, things that I should have known. I was like, what? I'd go to my mom and be like, did you know that, for example, Michelle Obama has a brother? And she was like, yeah, I feel like everybody knows that. And I was like, oh, I did not. And I just learned amazing things about her and the work that she's done. Such a sweet soul. So, and the last question is, am I happy with my reading year? And honestly, I really am. Like, I loved my reading year this year. I read such amazing books. I've read new all-time favorites, definitely more books that I loved than hated, which is always good. I read more books than last year, which wasn't the goal, but I'm glad I did and was able to show myself that I can like still love my hobby so much and still have a social life, because reading is a very solitary hobby, but I was able to prove myself wrong. And yeah, I really loved my reading year. I found some amazing authors, I found new favorites, and I even have more friends to talk about books with, all of you guys. So I'm really happy with my reading year this year. So that was the last question of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and also answer whatever questions you want to answer along with me in the comments down below. I would love to check them out. And also don't forget to check out Em's video. Her video will be linked down below in the description. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow with a new one. Bye.
If I got one thing right, it was you and me.